my agent sent me over this kind of PDF, and it was the presentation of this Sampaguita project that Nike had made. I was like 2 nights before my match at Wimbledon, and it was so beautiful. It was like the message behind it was great. I felt that it fit me so much, and I mean, I was so lucky.
What started as a wave in Asia has now become a global tide. Alex Eala didn't simply pack her racket and fly to Austria. She carried an entire movement with her, and Europe is feeling its force in ways the sports merchandise world simply wasn't prepared for. $3 million. 3 days. That's what the Sampaguita collection pulled in from its European debut at the Linz Open, and the numbers haven't stopped climbing. Nike sales figures are surging, and fans across the continent are scrambling to own a piece of a collection built around a flower most of them had never encountered, until Eala put it on the world map. This wasn't supposed to move this fast. It wasn't supposed to scale this wide this soon. But Eala has never operated by the usual rules. To truly grasp what's happening in Europe right now, you have to rewind to where it all began. Back to the Philippines, back to a podcast studio where Eala sat down with Jessica Pagula and casually dropped the news that her Nike Sampaguita collection was live. Her joy was real and completely unfiltered. The fans responded in kind. Stores across the Philippines were overwhelmed almost immediately, with early projections suggesting the Southeast Asian launch alone could bring in between $1 and $5 million within the first week, numbers that were already rattling boardrooms at Nike. But that was only the opening act. What Nike executed in Europe wasn't a simple product release. It was a precisely engineered moment.
Beyond excited about it.
But I was just so happy to be there, and I was like wearing my little flower, and then, oh my gosh.
And the moment those words left her mouth, something
Rather than quietly stocking shelves and hoping demand would find its way, Nike held back deliberately, waited for Eala to set foot on Austrian soil, and then launched the collection across Europe simultaneously. While she was on the court at the Linz Open, cameras trained on her, crowds watching, social media humming. Her merchandise was hitting European stores for the very first time. The strategy was elegant in its simplicity. Every fan watching her compete was suddenly given a way to participate in her story. Every viewer at home could reach for something tangible, something wearable, something that connected them to the young woman they were watching on their screens. Nike transformed a tennis tournament into a live launch event, and it delivered results no spreadsheet could have predicted. This is a playbook Nike has been quietly refining for some time. At every significant point in Eala's career, a carefully timed merchandise release has been waiting in the wings, engineered to ride the natural wave of attention she generates. They built the strategy in Asia, measured the appetite, studied the momentum, and when the moment came to go global, they chose their stage carefully, a European tournament, a fresh audience, and Eala right at the center of it, doing what she does best. The outcome validated everything. $3 million in a market that had never seen the Sampaguita collection before. That's not just a strong opening, it's a landmark. It's the kind of figure that rewrites conversations inside Nike's global headquarters and confirms what Southeast Asia already understood. Eala isn't a regional story anymore. She's a worldwide commercial force, and Europe has just woken up to that reality. The collection itself deserves enormous credit. At its heart is a white shirt set against a rich green background, centered on the Sampaguita flower, clean, elegant, and visually striking in a way that speaks across cultural boundaries. Paired with Eala's signature Sampaguita hairband and matching white shoes, the full collection communicates something that requires no translation. European fans with no prior knowledge of the flower's significance to the Philippines saw it on a court in Austria and immediately wanted it. That's what happens when thoughtful design meets a genuinely powerful story at exactly the right moment. Eala herself described the collection's origins with unmistakable emotion. Her agent sent over a presentation Nike had put together just before her Wimbledon match, and she was immediately moved by it. She felt the message behind it. She felt it was made for her. And that genuine connection shows. When Eala believes in something, that belief travels. Her pride in what the Sampaguita flower represents came through clearly during her conversation with Pagula, and it resonated with every person listening. But zoom out further, and what's unfolding between Eala and Nike is part of a much larger and more deliberate vision. At Indian Wells, Nike announced they were renewing her contract at significantly greater value. Just before Miami, they made it official in spectacular fashion, opening an entire gallery in her honor, celebrating her defining moments and marking a historic milestone for tennis in Southeast Asia. The reported deal stands at $45 million over 3 years, with performance incentives that could push the total even higher, positioning Eala as the face of Nike across the entire Southeast Asian market, complete with custom outfits, global campaigns, and the kind of visibility typically reserved for only the most elite names on Nike's roster. Nike moved quickly because they'd learned from experience. When Coco Gauff was on the rise, Nike hesitated and New Balance stepped in. That wasn't going to happen again. They recognized what Eala represents, not just as an athlete, but as a cultural symbol whose story and identity connect with people far beyond any tennis court. The European launch proved that instinct correct.
Agent sent me over this kind of PDF, and it was the presentation of this Sabalenka project that Nike had made. I was like 2 nights before my match at Wimbledon, and it was so beautiful. It was like the message behind it was great. I felt that it fit me so much. And I mean, I was so lucky that I got.
Because what Eala stands for runs deeper than sport. For millions across the Philippines, across Southeast Asia, and now across Europe, she represents possibility. She is proof that greatness has no fixed address. That a flower from a small island nation can bloom on the grandest stages the world has to offer. Every time she walks onto a court in a new city, a new country, a new continent, Nike is right there beside her, translating that moment into something fans can wear and carry with them. That's not just good business. That's a partnership grounded in shared purpose, shared pride, and shared belief in a story the entire world is leaning in to follow. The fever started in Asia. It has now taken hold in Europe. $3 million in 3 days isn't just a sales figure, it's a declaration. It's proof that this movement is still growing, still crossing borders, still writing chapters that nobody saw coming. And if everything Nike has done alongside Eala so far is any indication, the next move is already being planned. The next drop is already being timed. The next stage is already being set. The Eala fever has only just arrived in Europe. Something tells us it intends to stay.